This picture is from Theater Rhythm, Final Bar Line, uh, Final Fantasy. So I was thinking a lot about how important this song is, how important this game is for the industry. Without Final Fantasy VII, I'm not going to say that the industry would have died. No, absolutely not. I'm not one of those shock YouTubers that say that shit for no reason. This game just solidified gaming as a art form, 100%. Some people may say that as a catchphrase or they're too lazy to think anything else, but it truly was art, and I'll tell you why. Because I was actually around back then in the mid 90s, and as an avid gamer back then, and when I tell you that nothing was like Final Fantasy VII, nothing was like Final Fantasy VII. You will see a million Call of Duties, a million Modern Warfares, a million fucking like NBA 2Ks and WWE 2Ks. There was nothing like this at all back then. Nothing. And I'll tell you why in detail right now. Back when this came out, this is around 96. Back when this came out, there was the Super Nintendo that everybody loved back then. Genesis as well, but mainly everyone loved Super Nintendo back then because of Mario and Yoshi and stuff like that. The thing was, Super Nintendo at the time didn't have full motion video. No one knew what that was back then. Nobody knew what that was. So they were basically dependent on what Nintendo was doing back then, and that was 16-bit graphics back then. Now it's about 2,000-bit graphics, about that per se, for a PlayStation 5. So 16-bit graphics back then was the shit. Was like the top of the line. And then you had 32-bit with the Sega Saturn, but it was too expensive back then. But the deal with that one is, it didn't really matter with what the Saturn did. This one game right here showed you how powerful games could be. From the, I guess, the inception of video games with, I wasn't around back then, but Pong and Frogger and the original Mario Brothers, Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, nothing at the time had like fully voiced samples in a game. You might get lucky and get like a few like, oh, finish him, that kind of stuff there. But not many games before Final Fantasy VII did this. I believe after Final Fantasy VII came out, then they were like pretty much everywhere. They focused on that part because they believed that FMVs was the reason why this game did well. It wasn't why this game did well. So what this game did that no other game at that time was popularizing. Of course, there were horror games before Resident Evil, but nothing did it like Resident Evil. Just like this one. So the isometric view, aka top down, that was in GTA, I think in 97 after this one. But this is like a 3D type of isometric view. And the way it looked with like 3D backgrounds. Sprite backgrounds with 3D characters on top of there. Nothing looked like this game. Nextly, we have how long the game was. This game was super long back then. Most games at the time weren't really that long. Compared to this game, maybe this game was like 4 times as long as any other game. We had RPGs back then, like a Zelda per se, or Chrono Trigger. I think Chrono Cross is after this game, but Legend of Mana, Grandia, but nothing was as long as this game was. No one knew how long the game was. The way the game looked in graphics wise, like the whole bike chasing scene, nothing at the time was like that bike chasing scene, and that was all over the commercials. When he's on his bike there, swinging the sword there, now you get like you had Road Rash back then, and Super Hang On after that kind of stuff there. We've seen stuff like that after this game, but not when this game came out. So you get the cool 3D, you get the cool RPG look there, the FMVs, the bike chasing scene, the gold saucer with the gold saucer, as well with the secret content in there. Shikabu Racing. No one had Shikabu Racing, Shikabu Farming. No game had that thing either. That was extra content in the game that you purchased. No DLC bullshit. You get all those cool summon monsters like Ifrit and Rama and Odin and stuff like that. There, I think Alexander was in the game, Leviathan, that kind of stuff there. So like you get all these cool looking animations filling your screen up there, cool effects go there, cool sounds, destroying enemies, that kind of stuff there. And this is all in the same game. And then you get traveling from one island to another island. That was in Final Fantasy, I think, 4, 5, and 6 as well. But like most games didn't do that kind of stuff there. When you go from one island to another island, and in your plane, like maybe by boat. Like in Final Fantasy 7, you can do it by boat and you can do it by plane as well. No game at that time had something similar to that. Let me know in the comments if I was wrong about that one. But nothing. This is all in your package. I'm just saying, by the way, this is all inclusive in your package. And then you get secret bosses like Ruby and Emerald Weapon as well. Super hard bosses that test your metal. You got to find them and you got to beat them. That kind of stuff. There, it was worth it to actually do so. So and then of course we get Sephiroth and the One Winged Angel theme, which is can I do that from here? I can't do. I got to do it the whole way. Oh yeah, this is the Switch. So you get the point. So of course you're gonna show that part. So when you're playing the entirety of Final Fantasy VII, you're going through these dungeons and caverns and all these towns and places. You're meeting all these new people. You're doing cross-dressing stuff there, and it's all done with an endgame music by Nobuo Uematsu. And it was a great soundtrack, by the way. So Super Nintendo had great songs as well, and this game had great songs as well. But the kicker was, no game, I'm telling you this one, no game had a full-on theme vocalized for anything. Occasionally, characters would talk now and then in a game, but nothing like continuously full-on singing to you while you're playing the game. And that was super duper ultra special. You save that for the very, very, very final end of the game. When this game comes out there, starts, beep, bop, beep, bop, beep, 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 bop. Like no game like that. It was like the cherry on top of the sundae. You get all this cool content. You get all these cool characters. See characters like Vincent and Yuffie. You get all this cool content in the game. And then it ends off with the best fucking song of pretty much all time when it comes to gaming. And it blows your fucking mind away. You can't believe how good this shit is. So after this game, I think in I don't know about 9, but I believe Nobuo Uematsu also did 10, and then that was good as well. And then Square Enix fired his ass. I don't know what was going on there. So this game is super important because of all the content you get within it. Nowadays in 2023, oh my god. Well, we all know what they're doing now. What Square Enix is doing now, they're chopping up the game and selling it to you full price, like every 3-4 years apart. So the content that you got back then for $70, I believe back then, 3 discs for $70. Now they're going to charge you $70 for about 4 entries of the same game, because that's how Square Enix is nowadays. Squaresoft back then wouldn't do that. Square Enix, with new management, they want to milk this franchise as much as possible. They know Final Fantasy VII is the best one, and they know they're not going to do anything better than that one. So what they're going to do is chop it up and sell it to you separately. So if you're looking for a resurgence in Final Fantasy, it's never going to happen. they gave you so many times to try to recreate the magic of 7. It's never going to happen. People remember 8 in some ways, and some of 9, and definitely 10 as well. But nobody's talking about 12 or 13 like they did 7 and 10 back then. You can say because there's not as there's more competition now. Nope. People love certain games nowadays. If it's a really good game, people will talk about that and keep talking about it for a while. But no one's going to talk about 16 like that one. It's not going to happen. So there was a lot of competition back then for this game. Not only did you have Super Mario World, you had Virtua Fighter back then. Tekken was around back then. Street Fighter Alpha was around back then. Knights for Sega Saturn was really popular. Sonic the Hedgehog still pretty popular back then when this game came out. So yeah, there was a lot of competition for the game, but this game, Head and Shoulders was a system seller for sure. And then on the same system, you had Metal Gear Solid. You had Siphon Filter for some people. I didn't like Siphon Filter, but Siphon Filter was a game changer for some people. Splinter Cell eventually came out there on the original Xbox and the PlayStation as well. So it was a game changer. This game is. It's just amazing how much this song means to a lot of people all these years later. Most people aren't talking about the battle music in Final Fantasy VII, which was really good, but this theme song has lasted forever. One Winged Angel. It's ridiculous. And why? Because it's massively done. It's kind of sad that Persona 5's final boss theme song is a fucking absolute banger. Unfortunately, nobody's talking about that one. I think that lasted about a few months and was really good too. It was really, really good. And then I found out that song is kind of like a rip of Smooth Criminal. And I guess people didn't like it because of that one, but I don't think anybody knows that part really. But it was a banger of a song. Persona 5 has a really... Persona 4 did not have a really good theme song for the ending. Persona 3 did not there. I think they're better games, per se, but the Final Boss theme song, no one's talking about that one. But the Final Boss theme song of Persona 5, hell yeah, it was good. But no one's talking about that. No one's talking about it. So let me know what Final Fantasy VII's One Winged Angel meant to you. That's it for now. Clack off.